Hello everyone, my name is SeaTactics for the win, otherwise known as Ben, on Twitter. Sometime this week, earlier in the week I guess, I announced that I'm going to do a new series called Q&A. It's pretty much what you think it is. Give me a question or questions and I will answer them. Actually, this series is, believe it or not, it's not even called Questions and Answers. It's called Questions and Awesome, because the series is going to be awesome. So, already I'm setting it up to fail with this terrible name, but no, really. Just submit your questions, and I'll give them an answer. And I already have some questions. I have like 4 questions already that want to be answered, and one of them is by Steven Moran. Of course, like I said, you could do so down in the comments below. Just put down your question. It could be anything. It could be about anime. It could be about video games. It could be about Chinese economy. I don't know anything about it, so the video will probably be short, or maybe I'll probably never do a video on that. But anyways, I decided that, you know, this question was it could be better saved for a different video, I guess. Top 5 anime ever created. You know, try to look at it through a certain lens. So I'm gonna like twist this question a little bit. I'm gonna twist it into 5 of my all-time favorite anime. So yeah, I am kind of going to be like answering this, but not in the sense of top 5 anime ever created. So once again, thank you, Steven, for submitting the question. So I guess to start off, my 5 anime. I guess this is in no real order here, but I mean this one, it's kind of 2. And I have a good reason for putting 2 here. They're kind of the same thing. And that is, I guess the first one, I guess 5, would be Berserk 1997 in the Golden Age Arc Trilogy. That's more of like, I guess that's actually more of an honorable mention. And it's an honorable mention just because of the fact that the animation is so much better in the Golden Arc Trilogy than in Berserk 1997 in The Advent, which is the 3rd film in the Golden Age trilogy, is very good. It is very good. It is the best version of the Advent by far. It was just done so well, with taken into it's more in line with what we see in the manga than anything else, and that's what I love about it. You know, it's a good story, and it's a good movie. And you know, the Golden Age arc in general, it's the perfect story setup, you know, like it's so perfect, you know, with how it kind of ends and how it begins, and it goes through all of these motions and all these story beats and all these incredible, just awesome characters, which we'll talk about in a moment for sure. Nothing will really compare or top to the Golden Age arc. I think the closest thing that comes to it is the Black Swordsman arc in the manga. And they kind of messed that up with the 2016 and 2017 movies, but or series. They weren't movies, they were seasons. They got 2 seasons. I guess it's just Berserk season 1 and season 2. I'm not sure what that whole thing was. It's just a bad anime, but like the Black Swordsman arc is probably the one thing that compares to it the most in quality, but has a lot of hiccups along the road. But the Golden Age arc is pretty much perfect in my book. It's got the perfect ending to both versions as well, you know. The Golden Age arc trilogy kind of expands on the 1997 ending, adding a little bit more to it of what we saw in the manga, giving a little bit more clarity and a little bit more you know, like what we were supposed to see in the 2016 anime. It was leading into that pretty well, and then Studio Gemba kind of messed that up. Whether on purpose or not, it was a bad fumble, really hard. But also the characters. I mean, you can't mention Berserk without the characters, right? You have Guts, you have Griffith, Casca. I mean, really, even the secondary characters are really good. I really like all of them. They all have their own personalities, their own unique little kind of touches to them that make them them. And I think what Berserk 1997 and just the whole Golden Age arc trilogy did so well was explain all the backstories of these characters. You know, Guts' backstory was very tragic. Griffith's backstory is very unique, very dark, very twisted almost. And Casca's backstory is very, very, it's very similar, I guess, to Griffith's in some way. I can't really say much on that, but I just don't think really any anime can touch the build-up that Berserk kind of has with the Golden Age arc, because it starts in one place, and by the end it goes in this direction that just you never really expect, but you welcome at the same time, and you look in horror at just what is happening. You don't really expect the ending to come ever, and when the ending comes, you're like, that really just happened? And that's kind of like the great thing about Berserk, is it's teased in episode 1 in the 1997 anime of what the world kind of is, and by the last episode you are kind of left wanting way more. It's almost the perfect advertisement for the manga in many ways, because I started reading the manga because of it, and we all know how the manga turned out, sadly, but it's so good. I mean, I love Berserk 1997, and I love the Golden Age just in general, and that's kind of how it became one of my favorites. Number 4, I guess, would be Steins Gate from 2011, not Steins Gate Zero. We're not going to talk about that. And I guess like the first thing that really comes to mind with Steins Gate is the easy-to-follow time travel story. I mean, the science makes as much sense as it possibly could when it comes to time-traveling anime. Most time-traveling anime, well, even if it's not time-traveling anime, just time-traveling in general, excuse me, it's a very difficult thing to get right in a story, because there's so many like paradoxes that come along with that. You know, the grandfather paradox, which is one of the examples Steins Gate uses in its anime. And the science is, I'm not sure if it's 100% sound, but it makes sense. It explains it in a way the viewer understands and enjoys, and I really like that. And that's one of the great things about Steins Gate, is it doesn't hold your hand with these things. It doesn't explain it in a way that insults the intelligence, like, how did you not know about this, Okabe? It's more like, you know, they explain it in just perfectly, and that's really good writing. It's really good pacing, and I really like that. That's why Steins Gate is really as good as it is. But not only that, but like, you know, you have really personable characters like, you know, Okabe's capricious alter ego and Okabe himself. Also, Maki-sei, don't lie, you're really attracted to her, Kurisu, Mayuri and Itaru, and all these other great characters. These characters are funny. They're, you know, you can relate to them with how they like talk to each other. They're just a bunch of, you know, big nerds that joke around and stuff like that sometimes, and, you know, the banana goop and stuff like that, and you know, the could you say that slower, you know, that kind of funny stuff. I really like that about Steins Gate. Steins Gate wouldn't be as good as it is without those early episodes having us getting attached to those characters and getting to know their sense of humor, and then later on seeing where they end up because of all this time travel stuff. And it's just super, super fascinating, really, this whole anime of Steins Gate. It's just fascinating. And, you know, who can forget the memorable scenes with a lot of these characters? You know, for example, Moeka's, you know, scene where she just screams, "Give it back." Like, that was such an awesome performance, especially in the dub. And you know, speaking of, I guess, the dub, but, like, also the story in general, it's a story like Cowboy Bebop, where it transcends the Japanese culture and is extremely popular in the Western audiences. There are so many people who really connect with the Steins Gate story, and they're not, and a lot of those people are from Japan, or from America, which is really, really, really awesome to see, you know, Steins Gate achieve that kind of status in America, because you go around and you talk to people who don't really know much about anime, and, you know, they're kind of like sparse, but you can find people who are like, you know, Steins Gate? Oh, that's awesome. And then they'll mention, you know, like Cowboy Bebop and Full Metal Alchemist and Attack on Titan and My Hero Academia, all these great anime that have transcended into the Western audience, and Steins Gate is one of those extremely few to do so. Such a great story, just so good, and it's, I mean, just everything about it, you know, I just love it, and that's kind of like, just in a nutshell, why I love Steins Gate. And speaking of Cowboy Bebop, like I said, transcended into the West pretty early on, around 2001, when it had its first airing on Toonami in America. And ever since then, it's been a constant fixture of Western anime audiences. You know, it's the anime, right? Along with Dragon Ball Z, it is a household name in many ways. Not as much as, you know, Dragon Ball Z, but it's up there. You know, Cowboy Bebop has inspired many things, including myself. Without, you know, Yoko Kanno's score, I don't think I'd be the musician I am today. And Yoko Kanno and her music for Cowboy Bebop actually inspired me, like, to take the next steps into becoming a professional musician and writing music. And I, of course, released my first album last December, at the very end of the year, on December 31st, I believe, is when we released it. And I mean this when I say it, Yoko Kanno, she is up there with Beethoven, Paul McCartney, and, you know, I don't know, Mississippi McDowell, of, like, most inspirational, most important figures in music. She is so good. And it's almost kind of like a shame that most people know her from her anime stuff. Her solo stuff she does outside of anime is so good. She's just incredible. And you read up about this score, you know, she said that before this she never really wrote anything kind of as heavy as this. She didn't really write rock music before, and this was her first outing. And her first outing writing, hard bop and, you know, this harder guitar-oriented music and jazzy kind of hard jazz kind of stuff. She knocked it out of the park and ended up creating probably the greatest, most memorable anime score of all time. That is how good she was, that she just did it. And it connects with a lot of people. I mean, who doesn't know the real folk blues? Who doesn't know Gotta Knock a Little Harder? Who doesn't know What Planet Is This? These are songs that, if you don't know them, you probably should know them. They're important. They're important to anime in general, and important to kind of like, you know, in some ways Western media now, because it's it was so influential. And I mean, yeah, the series does look a little outdated, and it is kind of a little outdated. And a lot of people in my Discord server go back and watch it, and they're like, they don't get it. And it's just one of those things where it is the most important anime of all time. It is one of the best anime of all time because, and it's so important because it had the first truly good dub. It just did. There was really no other dubs before this that really met the quality and the performances that Cowboy Bebop had. You know, because of Steve Blum as Spike Spiegel, you wouldn't have as many voice actors today that are inspired by him. Like he is super influential on voice actors and stuff like that. And it convinced audiences in the West, you know, the anime was more than just, you know, cartoons for children. They were like, all right, I get it now. This isn't just, you know, Japanese cartoons. This is a serious art form that tells serious stories, and you got to give it more weight. And ever since then, we have. And I mean, like I said, the music was impactful, and it's just incredibly special to me and millions of others who have watched this anime. And there are people that I knew in the music industry, when I was in the music industry, that didn't know what Cowboy Bebop was, but they knew who the Seatbelts were, which is the band that performs the music for Cowboy Bebop. And they knew who Yoko Kanno were, which is just incredible, because that's how awesome that music is. And I mean, without Cowboy Bebop, there is no Funimation, there is no Crunchyroll, no High Dive like we have it now. It's a much different world. without Cowboy Bebop, anime just wouldn't be where it is. And that's kind of like just the truth of it. And that's, anime is would be super just different without Cowboy Bebop. So, second to last one, I guess, number 2, I would have to say it's Hyoka. And once again, no particular order, because I just went on a spiel about Cowboy Bebop being the greatest anime of all time. But, or I guess reasons why it should be as acclaimed as it is. But, I mean, it's one of the only anime from Kyoto Animation where I truly understood the critical acclaim. For most of these KyoAni anime, I'm like, I don't get it. It's boring. Like, there's no really like secondary story to it. It's not that deep. It's just boring. But like Hyoka has, awesome characters, which is, I think, the most important thing, and they're incredibly nuanced. And I would say this is one of the most nuanced anime ever because, I mean, you have characters like Hodoro. I mean, it's almost to the point with him where I feel like every high school student can find something relatable to him. He's a character that makes sense in the world he's in, and you immediately understand the guy and how he acts. And I really enjoy that. Unless you're the most jockiest jock who is just super popular, you're probably going to find some ways to relate to Hodoro. He's just he is the quintessential high school student character, in my opinion. In a good way, not in a bad way. Also, you have other characters like Satoshi, who is really nuanced as well, and in some ways more than Hodoro, he's more human. And just an example of some of his nuances are he carries around handbags. His relationship with Mayaka is one of the best secondary character relationships in anime. I will go on record as saying that. I was really invested in their relationship, and I wanted more of whatever that was by the end of it, and I thought it was a really nice resolution to what was happening in that. I mean, these characters are great. You can go on about, Mayaka as well, and of course Chitanda. They're both really good characters, probably not as good as Hodoro or Satoshi, but pretty damn good. Also, like I said, the show is just really nuanced in almost every way, but the art and animation is so nuanced. You have it goes so in depth that you have really detailed shadows on your characters when they walk under trees and stuff like that. And a lot of anime do that, but not in the way that Hyoka did it, where it was so detailed and just it's just so good, and it looks so real, right? And there's, speaking of shadows, there's the shadows from people's hair on their faces, and the scene lighting is just incredible. And it's a very murky kind of brown kind of lighting this whole show has, and there's a reason for it. There is a story reason behind that, and that is just the show, just so much detail in it. You could analyze it, and the animation as well. It's so nuanced. Character design details, you have in terms of animation, when a character moves, their clothes deform and wrinkle up in certain places and fold up and all of that cool stuff. I mean, it's just one of my favorite animes of all time, just for how much detail it is, how much time and effort was put into some of these things in the show. And there's not a lot of anime that do what Hyoka did. It's a one-of-a-kind special anime, because even KyoAni hasn't done anything near the level of Hyoka, and people will probably say Silent Voice, which I would have to say not as good as the manga. I would say Hyoka is their best anime of all time, at least so far. They've done nothing since then that is really, Silent Voice doesn't come close, but Hyoka is almost perfect in the sense that it's so nuanced. The characters are so rich and deep, but the one thing that keeps it from almost becoming completely perfect, and just perfect, I guess, is the beginning of it. The beginning of it is just slow. It's just really slow. It turns off a lot of people, and you just got to get through it. You got to that kind of sucks about that, but I mean, that's just a part of the experience of Hyoka. And I've learned to appreciate those episodes more once I completed the series and watched some more of episodes. But yeah, Hyoka, one of my favorites for sure. And of course, it wouldn't be a video if I didn't mention Dragon Ball Z somewhere in it. So, and this is just number one. This is number one because it kind of is my number one favorite anime of all time. It's Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and Dragon Ball Super. All the Dragon Balls. They're all the same to me. It's all one big story. And it's important. Dragon Ball Z is the most popular anime in the world. It is a household name that even my 60-year-old father knows who Goku is. And we live in America, so if he knows, a lot of other people know. He's a giant marketing thing. He's a symbol of peace. Goku is. I mean, just not talking about like the cultural impact it's had worldwide, because there are people know about Goku in like India and stuff, and like all around just the world, people love Goku. And but other than that, you know, it's what every shonen wants to be. Every shonen wants to be Dragon Ball. I mean, it set the standard for shonen anime as it is today. Yeah, DBZ they didn't do a lot of original, but they set the precedent. They set the standard. They made everything popular. That what is popular in shonen today without, you know, fucking Dragon Ball Z, there is no Naruto, there is no One Punch Man or Mob Psycho or whatever. It's that influential. It's that important. I mean, I can also just I can right now stop this video, turn on any episode of Dragon Ball Z, and watch it. That's how much I love it. And I've seen a lot of these episodes like a dozen times. You know, like I've watched through Dragon Ball Z, the whole thing, all 9 seasons, the original version, 270 episodes, 4 or 5 times. And I've seen, you know, episodes on their own, dozens sometimes. I've seen the movies. God, I don't know how many times I've seen the Broly movie or the Cooler movie, but it's gotta be, you know, upwards of 20. And that's not an exaggeration, that's just me being real, that I've seen so much of Dragon Ball, and I keep wanting to come back to it. I love Super. I love GT. I've seen GT 3 or 4 times in full. I own it. I own GT. I'm a huge DBZ fan. That's just, you know, I love that stuff. And I mean, it brought my whole family together, even my extended family. We could all, you know, every year, or I'd go, you know, when I was younger, I'd go over to my cousin's house, or, you know, every year when, you know, the holiday parties came around, it was, you know, you go over there, you guys talk about Dragon Ball Z, you watch it, you have a fun time. You know, that's kind of like what Dragon Ball Z is to me and my family, and that's really cool. Like, it's awesome. And it's the reason I love, you know, anime. Without Dragon Ball Z, I would not love anime. Without Dragon Ball Z, I would never get into anime. Without Dragon Ball Z, you would not be here watching me. And that's 100% the truth. Without Dragon Ball Z, there is no SeaTactics. So, that's my 5 favorite anime of all time. The top 5 anime ever created, but not really. What's your favorite anime? Put down in the comments below. Give me your reasons as to why they are your favorite anime. I would love to hear that. Also, why you are down there in the comments. Go to the description. Click on the link to my twitch.tv account, twitch.tv/SeaTactics, and follow me there, because every Saturday we're going to have the King of Anime podcast starting October the 6th. That's right, tomorrow. And when the time of this video is going up, tomorrow we will be going live with the first episode of the fall 2018 season of King of Anime podcast. My special guests are Everything Animated and Satsuki the Savage. We're a gaggle of fun. We are. So go over there, follow me on twitch.tv. If you don't, you're going to miss out. You're not going to get a notification. So go over there and follow me. Also, submit your questions to be answered in a Q&A. Like the video, subscribe and ring the bell. And just comment. Just comment anything. Comment boobs. You do that. You do that, right? You're allowed to do that. I'm pretty sure you are. So with that being said, thank you all for watching the video. I can't wait to do more of these Q&A. And I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.